Okay, good afternoon and welcome everybody to our training session on laminate focusing on water resistant products. I'm Joe Flair with Custom Wholesale. Also in one of these boxes is Chris McFarland with Custom. He's going to moderate our Q&A today. And our presenter and trainer is Bobby Glennon from Kindle. Again, send questions at any time during the presentation. We'll answer them aloud during the Q&A. And as a reminder, this is being recorded and will be available on our CWF videos channel on YouTube. So some of you might be asking why we're presenting laminates during this wave of SPC. Well, most of you have been in the flooring industry long enough to remember that when laminate was launched, it was not a wave, it was more like a tsunami that lasted several years. What's happening now with SPC still pales to what happened with laminate. You know, right now we're really hinging on one word, and that there might be two words or a hyphenated word, but waterproof is the one thing that everybody's latching onto. But I think we all understand that over time, it's layers of features and benefits that prove to be important. And sometimes it takes a consumer to actually live on a floor or a new flooring category before they get to know it, understand the positive and negatives, and those things may influence their purchases when they go to replace that floor. And I think we all can recognize, or all will recognize, that when it comes to artificial products, those tend to get replaced a lot quicker, a lot more often than a natural wood or stone that tends to last in a home for several decades. But I do think we recognize that that laminate needs to evolve. It needs to mirror what's going on in our industry today. Laminate does have its place. It will always have its place and be an important part of our industry. We have 30 plus years with laminate under our belts. Dealers understand it, installers understand it, and consumers understand it. And more importantly, smarter people than myself understand the value of laminate and its place in the industry. Both Home Depot and Mohawk are putting a lot of marketing dollars and advertising dollars into laminate, and really believe it has some specific value versus other flooring products. So with that, I hope you get a little bit more education on laminates, give you an idea of what's the current things, the current trends with laminate, and how laminate stacks up versus other products in our industry. So with that, let me turn it over to Bobby Glennon of Kindle.
Thank you very much, Joe. Appreciate it. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope that everyone and your loved ones are safe and healthy during this time. This is certainly an interesting process that we are going through and an interesting time in the world, and certainly it's going to be interesting for our industry. So the presentation that I'm going to do, I'm hoping to cover 4 main points throughout this presentation. Let me start by saying that I have been in the flooring industry now for 32 years. I have worked for major corporations within the industry, and I have been with Kindle now for the past 5 years as their North American representative in both Canada and the United States. So I've got a lot of experience. One of the things I'd like to do in the beginning here is kind of give you what we see as a sort of a state of the industry, and what we can look to see and what we can expect for the future. Joe, I don't have control.
All right, well, just tell me when to flip the slide. I'll go ahead and do it.
Flip. Flip. So in understanding what does the future look like and what is happening in the economy right now, of course, as every one of you have seen, everything that's related to our existing 2020 budgets and what the economy was and what it's going to look like going forward has completely changed. Flip. So unemployment is up dramatically, as we've seen. Consumer spending, consumer confidence is declining. There is a risk of further trade wars with China and with other countries. And of course, on our side, when we're dealing with European and international business, we watch very closely the currency exchange rates, any issues related to ports and anything that might interrupt our supply chain. You're definitely going to see economic inequality play a huge role in whatever recovery and how quickly and how much it begins to come back. The things that we are watching today on the consumer basis to understand how the consumer is going to handle all of this, you know, we're watching what are the levels of credit card debt, what's going to happen with mortgages, what's the default rate going to be. There's been a lot of discussion about student loans, car loans, business loans, and what potentially any kind of relief will happen there during the recovery, or what the default levels will be. Overall, we believe that we will feel the effects of this, the economic effects of this pandemic for a minimum of the next 1 to 2 years. How quickly the economy will be able to resurge will be dependent on a lot of factors, and it may be different and it may vary around the United States and around the world. Right now, we have not really seen much disruption in the supply chain. And when we say that, we really mean globally the supply chain. On the part of ours, specifically for Kindle, we have not really seen any disruption in ocean vessels or in the supply chain coming out of Europe and into the United States. We believe there may be some, as demand has been reduced for material and for many industries. So the vessels are not full, so it sometimes creates a little bit of a delay there, but we are watching that very closely as well. So we also are looking, and this is more specific to our industry, is that the housing markets are beginning to slow down. You're seeing new home construction starting to tick down. You're seeing mortgage applications starting to tick down. You're probably going to envision what is expected, which will become a buyer's market, because more people will be looking either to downsize and reduce their debt or get out of debt. You'll be looking at people that will be moving into smaller homes, and people who have second homes may be looking to shed those just to convert them into cash. We also believe that there will be a slight slow in construction, commercial construction, and this includes multifamily housing and other categories where flooring is important. That could be due to financial challenges. It could just be due to reduced demand, potentially defaults on construction loans, etc. As flooring is basically considered a luxury purchase, we do believe that people will defer purchases in flooring, or if they're going to make those purchases, they're going to opt for prices that are products that are priced a little bit lower. This is an important point as we go through the balance of this presentation, because we do believe the consumer's mindset is going to change as it relates to how they are going to make a decision to purchase flooring. We do believe that laminate flooring will become a product of choice, and we believe this because of the price to value relationship that consumers will get with laminate flooring. There's no question that there has been a large shift in the pie, if you will, based on which different flooring categories are doing better than others. But we do believe that this event is going to create a resurgence for laminate. Post-COVID-19, consumers are going to be looking for certain things. Very, very important, and probably at the top of their list is going to be, what will this floor, can it possibly harm me? And the antimicrobial properties will be very important. You can kind of flip through these, Joe. Antibacterial properties, antiviral properties, whether or not the product will generate or mold, mildew, fungus, is it resistant to those things? Definitely, because of the advertisement and the marketing that's being done right now for vinyl and for laminate, they're going to want to know if the product is water resistant or not, and that's going to be an important aspect. They're also going to be looking, what is the most authentic visual I can get? And we could argue what the visual looks like for vinyl. We could argue what it looks like for laminate. But when it comes down to it, the consumer just wants to have the most authentic and realistic look in their product. They're going to want to know from an indoor air quality and from an indoor health standpoint, is the product hyperallergenic? Is it going to hold mold spores or hold bacteria? They are going to want to know if the product is sustainable. That's become a much bigger topic lately, is whether or not the product is recyclable or if it's made from recycled materials. Critical will be, is the product easy to clean and maintain? Does the product promote a healthy indoor air quality? Is this product the best value for the dollars that they are going to spend? Is the product made in China? In many cases, there is a growing sentiment towards products made outside of China for many reasons. So it won't be all customers, and definitely consumers have a short memory. And so their mindset today may be, I don't want to buy anything made in China, but that may dissipate over time. But these are some very important elements that consumers are going to be looking at going forward. Some products within the flooring industry are going to create challenges where those areas are concerned. But let's talk specifically about laminate, because that's what we're here for. And I think that the rest of this presentation will kind of give you an idea of why laminate is the best choice for the consumer. To start, I would like to give you a little bit of information about Kindle. We're a fairly young company. We were founded in 1897, and we have been doing business. We started as a sawmill in 1897, and over the course of many, many years, we have made everything from doors to cabinets to snow skis, and we've made a lot of different products. But the company is now well over 120 years old and still functioning very well, still privately held. We started producing our first chipboard in 1960. We started producing our first laminate flooring in 1989, and we built what we call the Kindle Megastore in 2000, which is a massive warehousing and distribution facility in Austria. We also put in a recycling tower in 2013 in coordination with the city of Salzburg, which is where our factory is based. We started doing digital printing. A lot of you may be familiar with digital printing on ceramic tile, but we have been doing digital printing on paper now since 2014. We also have been doing digital printing directly onto HDF since 2008. We are a completely vertically integrated manufacturer. And what that means is that we manage everything from the forestry and where the trees originate and the replanting and regeneration of the forest, straight through to when the product gets loaded onto a vessel and a container onto a vessel to ship. So as a company, we own every single part of that process. And in 2015, we made an investment, and the Kindle family purchased the container terminal in both Salzburg and in Eins, Austria. And so we now control the rail system, the container yard, and every aspect of manufacturing until the product gets to the vessel. In 2016, we implemented a driverless transport system. So easier way to say that would be a human-free tow motor system in our facilities to move raw materials and to move finished product throughout the process of manufacturing. We also, in 2019, installed probably the most ambitious independent lab in the entire industry. It's about 4,000 square feet, and it is an incredibly advanced laboratory where we do consistent and ongoing testing of our products. And then in 2019 as well, we introduced our water-resistant laminate flooring which has been a huge, huge success for us. Our goal as a company is to be the market leader in premium laminate flooring, in what we call the boards business, which is a business that we have for countertops, cabinetry, case good furniture, and things like that. And then we also want to be the leader, and we do believe that we are the leader when it comes to innovative design. We have some of the most incredible designs in our collection of decors compared to any other manufacturer in the world. So this is our mission. What we'd like to cover with you guys today in the short amount of time that we have is what is the difference between yesterday's standard laminate flooring, today's water resistant laminate flooring, and what is being called waterproof laminate flooring out in the marketplace. So where I'd like to start is, what is the reality of water resistant? Well, as a company, when this entire movement began a few years ago, Kindle had me ship well over 50 cartons of competitive materials that were claiming water resistant technology over to our factory, and we conducted tests on every single one of those products to see if it actually met the water resistant standard that the industry had been kind of creating, if you will. And the result was that 24 out of the 30 products that we tested failed the water resistant test. The liquid leaked through the seams of the product within minutes, but some within hours, but many of them failed that test. Now, today, there is a new standard within the industry that has been created by the North American Laminate Flooring Association that defines the testing and the performance attributes of a product and its claim. So that gives very specific testing methodologies for a product to be deemed water resistant and to pass what is called the 24-hour spill test. So what kind of things are making laminate flooring water resistant? Well, the first is an enhanced core board construction. The old core board construction that we had fit the industry standards for moisture absorption, which was 14 to 16% absorption rate. Today, with this enhanced core board construction, we are seeing swell rates at 7 to 8%, or but roughly 50% of the old core board construction. And we are doing that two ways. One is with a, you could call it a new recipe for the HDF core and a higher density core board. And those two elements have allowed us to create a core board that is 50% swell rate of what the old core board was. The other, and maybe the most important element of creating a product that is water resistant is the type of bevel that we are using. We have two different bevel systems today in our technology. One is a pressed bevel. This is where the bevel is actually part of the press plate when the master board is created. And the other is a 0.3 millimeter micro bevel, similar to the micro bevels that you've had on much of the laminate flooring that you may be selling today. And we are also using today what is known as an angle tap locking system. If you are familiar with Pergo, or you're familiar with Pergo Outlast at Home Depot or Pergo Timberland at Lowe's, these products all carry what is known as the Unilin locking system, which is an angle tap locking system. The Kindle lock system is also an angle tap locking system. It is the tightest locking system in the industry, and there is no question that it creates this pre-tension at the seams that allow the the planks to always maintain a very, very tight joint. The third element in creating a water-resistant laminate is that we are sealing the edges 360 degrees around every plank with a UV cured oil. Excuse me. And that oil is treated to the edge of every plank, and it actually soaks into the HDF about 2 millimeters down from the top face of the product, and then it gets cured with ultraviolet light, and it creates this impenetrable waterproof seal around the entire perimeter of every plank. And then the final, well, I talked about the angle tap locking system with the pre-tension. So these are the four main elements that make up or allow us to create a floor and to make the claims of water resistance. Now, in a profile construction, you essentially have the wear resistant overlay, which is generally made of a melamine, and we impregnate that melamine with aluminum oxide to give it its wearability. That's the first layer. The second layer is a decorative paper layer. That's what the design and the decor is. And then you have the HDF core, which has a 50% lower moisture absorption rate. And then on the bottom of the product, you have the balancing paper. And that is the essential construction of most laminates. In our case, as I mentioned before, we have a pressed bevel and we have a micro bevel. In both of these cases, we have high pressure compressed edges that go around the entire perimeter of the planks, which means that those compressed edges are going to swell much less if there is moisture that gets in. It also accomplishes the protection of the joint so that you don't get any what they call peaking or overwood or lippage at the seams, so you don't have any growth or swelling at the seams. And in the case of our embossed and registered press bevel and our embossed and registered micro bevel, we believe that these are some of the most authentic and real looking products on the market, and difficult to make a distinction between real wood and these products. As I mentioned, we are sealing the edges 360 degrees, and this UV cured oil acts as a water repellent, and it absorbs into the substrate and then prevents any overwood or lippage. The angle tap locking system is, this image right here is of the long side of the plank. That long side is installed on a 30-degree angle. If you go to the next slide, Joe, and you can see that it will slip in on the long side and it will create this pre-tension. And this is the most important element of the locking system. And as I said before, probably the most important element in creating the water resistant properties of the installed floor, is because that joint is constantly pressing itself together. That pre-tension, as the board fits into as each board fits into each other, that pre-tension is not only locked in on the long side, but then when you go to put an adjacent plank, it further solidifies that T-seam. And you can see it will maintain a tight joint, and this joint will prevent any spill, any liquid from penetrating through those seams. And because there is that treatment of the oil, UV cured oil around the perimeter, it functions as a water repellent. So it almost like the water will almost bead on the top of the floor and will not go into the joints. On the short side, this is where you have the tap. So you angle the long side of the plank in, and then the short side gets tapped in. And so this is, you can go ahead, Joe. This is where you see that short side being tapped in. And once it's tapped in, the joint actually seats together and is now pre-tension 360 degrees around the entire plank. So the question, and I get this asked a lot, is there such a thing as waterproof flooring, waterproof laminate? The short answer is no, because the product is made of wood. Even though it's a high density fiberboard, it is still wood, and it is still going to absorb moisture and liquid. However, with the right construction and the right installation method, it is possible to create what we have created, which is an impervious installation or an impervious surface for the installation. So when a company, and you know, the reality is it really, I think the only company that I've seen that is using the term waterproof out in the industry is Mohawk through Home Depot and through Lowe's are using the term waterproof flooring system. And by referring to this waterproof installation system, if you will, they are basically saying the same thing that we are. We're just not using the word waterproof, that once you install this floor, the area that is installed is an impervious surface. So what does the actual warranty say? And this is very important because I think in a lot of cases, people don't actually read what the warranty says. And in the case of the Pergo warranty, in this case, the Outlast warranty, and the Kindle warranty, both of them will say that if you are putting this product in a room that is susceptible to spills, so let's say a bathroom, a mud room, a kitchen, you have to seal the perimeter of the room with a silicone sealant. So, and it has to go into the expansion space to prevent water from getting behind the baseboards. Because if the water goes behind, or liquid goes behind the baseboards, it will get absorbed by the exposed core from the cut planks. So this is important. In addition, the warranty does say damage that results from excessive wet maintenance is not covered. This is very important. So you're claiming a waterproof floor in the front side and then saying damage resulting from wet maintenance is not covered. In addition, as you can see in the third point, standing water is not covered. So it's very important that even with the Pergo Outlast product that is claiming that it's waterproof, they clearly state in the actual fine print of the warranty that you can't wet mop it, you can't make it excessively wet, standing water is not covered, and it does not give a time frame for how long the water could stay on the surface. In addition, under the care and cleaning side of the information, it says occasionally wet mop with water only using a well wrung out mop. Do not pour liquid directly on the floor or use an excessively wet mop that will puddle or leave moisture standing on the floor. And then it goes on to say, wipe up the spills immediately. Do not allow topical moisture to remain on the floor longer than necessary. So that's a little vague in terms of what is necessary, but that is the fine print that you will read on the product that is being called waterproof. If you go to water resistant, which is what the majority of the laminate industry is saying about their product, in this case, this is the fine print of the Kindle warranty, where it does say no wet cleaning, and under no circumstances should the floor be cleaned with a wet mop or soaked with liquid. It doesn't mean that the product is not water resistant. It is, but it's not necessary to completely soak the floor in order to clean it or to impede on the water resistant properties of the floor. But it can be wet mopped. It can be you can use a wet jet steam mop, and you can use just a damp cloth. That is really all that's needed to clean a laminate floor anyway. But we specifically say in the Kindle warranty that we do have a 24-hour spill warranty. That means that if you spill something on the floor, it can stay there for up to 24 hours and be covered by this spill guarantee. Now, of course, we say in our language that you should clean the spills up immediately. We also say don't excessively, spill liquid or have standing water on the floor because you're just opening yourself up. It goes for any floor, right? Even ceramic tile, hardwood, or any other floor. You don't want to have standing water on the floor. So in most cases, people spill something and they just clean it up. In this case, if something got spilled when no one was home, it's covered for 24 hours. So in today's world, important that as retailers and salespeople of laminate flooring, that we understand what are the true benefits of laminate and how does that differentiate from any other flooring surface being sold in the industry. And so I'd like to go through a few different major points that will be important that the consumers understand what are the benefits of laminate. And the first category is to talk about their health. First of all, laminate is hypoallergenic. You can't have an allergic reaction to laminate flooring. It's antimicrobial, which means it's a germ-free surface. It does not promote bacteria. It does not doesn't hold mold or any of those elements. It's a completely germ-free surface. Think about this. It's the same surface that many people use for their countertops where they prepare food and other things. It is probably the best indoor air quality product available for creating a healthy in-home environment. It's PVC free and it's free of any heavy metals. So it has no contaminants like mercury or arsenic or cadmium or any of those heavy metals that are out there. So in many cases, it is the healthiest product for the living environment for both people and for pets. It prevents allergic reaction because there is no habitat for spores to generate. It does not accumulate dust because it's a non-porous surface. So nothing is going to pass through the surface. In our AquaPro, our water resistant products, these are approved for steam mopping. And so you can clean these, pretty much with just about any normal household cleaning agent that you have. It's also a disinfectable surface. This is very important. The surface cannot be damaged using any commercially available disinfectants. It's antimicrobial, so the surface will not breed microbes. And this is clinically tested. We have tested our products with the EPH, which is a third-party testing laboratory in Europe, as well as the Robert Koch Institute for healthy living and for polyacrylic aromatic hydrocarbons, which is a test being done by a lot of these testing laboratories. And we have test results now that give us all of the data and all of the test results to prove and to demonstrate that laminate is an incredibly healthy product for the in-home environment. We meet the highest demands for international standards when it comes to volatile organic compound testing. And we are, of course, Green Guard Gold, which means we are the highest level of indoor air quality available under the Universal Labs platform. So we promote a very hygienic environment, and this gives consumers a great peace of mind, whether it's their home, their school, or at their office. As we said before, there's no contaminants. So the product is free of PVC, and there are no plasticizers or heavy metals. When you look to the environment, how does laminate help the environment? Well, laminate is probably one of the most, if not the most, sustainable product in the industry. It is designated as a complete recyclable product, so it contributes to a recycling economy. It is a carbon neutral product, and it is great for new construction as well as renovation. When we talk about sustainability, in our case, as a company, we source our raw materials for our product in 3 ways. One, from the natural fallen trees, from hurricanes, storms, snowstorms, etc. We also source material by the natural thinning of the forestry, which is part of the ongoing forestry maintenance. And we also get it from trees that are fallen based on because of infestation from beetles and bugs and things like that. In Austria, to give you an idea, 48% of the country is covered by forestry. Austria grows by 149 million cubic feet of wood per year by the regeneration of forestry. And Kindle consumes 46 million cubic feet of wood per year. A lot of our product is made with pre-consumer scrap. So all of our laminate flooring is produced with pre-consumer waste material that comes from sawmills, wood chips, and sawdust from different companies that produce that waste. Our countertops also use post-consumer scrap that comes back from recycling, and we have an entire purification system that the post-consumer product goes through as we recycle it and take out the contaminants before we put it into our countertops. And then we talk about sustainability. So if you think about it, airplanes, automobiles, housing, and many other things contribute to carbon dioxide that goes out into the air. Trees filter carbon dioxide out of the air and convert it into oxygen. When we cut down those trees and convert it into laminate flooring, we are contributing to this carbon neutral kind of environment by turning those trees into flooring. And when we create that material, it actually locks in the carbon dioxide. So it is not going off into the atmosphere. In addition, 1 pallet of laminate floor holds as much carbon dioxide as a car that was driven 700 kilometers. So we really are doing this entire carbon neutral footprint because we are not only taking carbon out of the environment, but we contain more than we produce in the production of our product. So we are a carbon neutral, almost a carbon minus. Of course, laminate flooring today is perfect for new construction, and we believe that the builder community is going to start to look to laminate flooring as a way to reduce the overall cost of the home, as not only costs will be rising, but people will be looking to spend less money and get better product. And the same for renovation. We think that laminate flooring is the perfect product to value engineer some of these existing projects. So what's the value add that laminate gives? Well, one of the things is that it's incredibly resistant to scratching, to staining, to fading, to micro scratching. It resists almost every chemical that's out there. You can clean it with acetone. It's incredibly resistant to so many typical household ailments. It is an incredibly practical product in that it is a DIY product if the customer wants to try to install it themselves. It also has incredible design in both traditional looks as well as exotic looks. It has some of the best warranties in the industry, and pound for pound, it is definitely the best value in the entire flooring industry. Scratch and impact resistant. We have been testing our products on the Janka testing, and we are scoring over 2,000 with our products. And of course, now we've added water resistance in our AquaPro platform to make our product even more valuable. It's easy to install, it's perfect for the DIYer, and it's also suitable for underfloor heating systems. There's no question that laminate has the most authentic and realistic surface in comparison to real wood in the entire industry. At Kindle, we have over 400 different designs, and in addition to our traditional wood looks, we have a lot of exotics and a lot of premium woods. There are a lot of woods today that have been protected as species. You are no longer allowed to log things like ipe. And so we are creating visual designs in exotic, high fashion visuals of products or real wood products that are no longer farmable or practical. From a warranty standpoint, we said wear, stain, fade, scratch. Our warranties are superior to anything that's out there with 15, 30, and 50-year performance warranties. And of course, we now have water resistance warranties, excuse me, that extend the life of the product. So best product for the value, for the price, long life products. And of course, this is European produced, and we produce these in Salzburg, Austria, very proudly for well over 120 years now. And we do believe that laminate is going to have quite a resurgence in popularity. And of course, that means that you have to have laminate in your showroom to be able to sell, whether it's from Kindle or any other manufacturer in the world. It will be an important element that consumers will be looking for. And if consumers come in and start asking you, you know, what's the best floor for my high quality indoor air for my family, laminate should be at the forefront of your mind and the first product off your lips. So with that, open it up to any questions.
Yeah, Bobby, got a question for you. Why should someone buy laminate over SPC?
That's a good question, because today, of course, the vinyls and the SPC products have become incredibly popular. So why sell laminate over any of those? Well, for one, laminate is superior in terms of scratch resistance. Two, it's superior for dent and impact resistance. From high heels, dropping anything, it's very impact resistant. Third, it's definitely a more realistic and authentic look than any of the SPC products or vinyl products that are out there. Laminate doesn't shrink. It doesn't shrink and swell with high degrees of heat or sunlight coming into the room like vinyls do. Typically, laminate is a much thicker product, and whether it's correct or not, here in North America, the feeling is thicker is better, and laminates are generally thicker. It's definitely a lower cost basis. If you think about the value for the product that you're getting and the performance characteristics, there's no question that the price relationship that you get for laminate is significantly better. Our products are Green Guard Gold certified. If you don't know what Green Guard Gold is, you can go to Universal Laboratories website and look at the products that Green Guard certifies. These are products that are certified for sustainable construction projects, et cetera, and for lead points. Also, laminate is probably the healthiest choice for the indoor air environment in the home. It's sustainable, laminate's recyclable, doesn't have PVC, it's carbon neutral, it's environmentally friendly. Planks today are much wider. We are now producing a laminate plank that is 330 millimeters wide by 1,383 millimeters long. So it's like 18 inches in a plank. It's incredible. And then really the water resistant technology. I mean, yes, SPC and LVT and LVP are waterproof by nature, but today's laminate in its water resistant capability is as good or better a product than any of the vinyls on the market.
All right, awesome. All right, we have some more coming in. Let's see. This question: does the low swell boards expand less than the regular HDF?
No, it doesn't expand less. It just expands at a slower rate. Because of the increased density of the core board, it will still ultimately absorb the same amount of moisture, but it will be at a much slower rate. And the new technology in the high density cores have a 50% reduced swell rate at the perimeter so that you don't get the lippage and those kind of things. But ultimately, the product will absorb moisture.
Okay. All right. Okay. Here's a good one. Are the expansion requirements more lenient with water-resistant laminates? And do you still need moldings at the doorways?
That's a great question. The answer is yes, you still do need to have transitions in the doorways. And the answer is no, that the requirements are not necessarily different, because what you have to understand is that as a company, we put out guidelines for length and width without transition that is global, if you will. And every market is different. Some markets have substantial fluctuations in temperature and relative humidity, and in other areas of the world have less. So where you have high degrees of moisture and temperature fluctuation, that's where you'll see the product move more than in other areas. So you have to pay attention to that, and that's why it's always important to allow the product as it floats to expand and contract naturally with the different changing environments. It's the same as doors or cabinets or anything that they'll creak in one season and not creak in the other, and the gaps will be greater in certain seasons than the other, but we do have to still allow for the product to move.
All right. This is where you go to the slide you had.
Yeah, if you go, Joe, if you flip to that next, I think there's another slide in here. There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
So one of the things that I definitely wanted to cover, if we had time, was, avoiding any problems with laminate floor installations. An installation done right means you're not going to get any callbacks, and you're probably going to gain a lot of referrals from customers. But there are certain elements that are critical to making sure that the flooring gets installed correctly and there's no problems. One is acclimation. To acclimate the product in the home for 48 hours prior to installing. Every single laminate manufacturer in the world has the same requirements for acclimation. The other is when you are installing the planks, just inspect the planks for any in-transit damage or possible defects that could be in the planks before installing them. Make sure that you leave the proper expansion space around the perimeter of the room. And as a rule of thumb, it's generally 1 millimeter for every meter, or 1 millimeter for every 3 feet of length and width. Making sure that the floor is level. The subfloor is level within the tolerance that's in the installation instructions. And then, of course, transitions where they're required in the doorways. We say, 26 feet on the length, 26 feet on the width before you need transition. Is it possible to go to 30 feet? Yes, it's possible to go to 30 feet. Just add another millimeter of expansion and you don't really need the transition there. But don't go out to 40 feet, because this creates a bigger problem. It's basically a physics equation as to how the planks will move. And then, of course, temperature and humidity are important. So maintaining relative humidity and temperature ranges within the recommendations that we have in our instructions. If you just do these things, you avoid all problems with any laminate installations.
And that's key too, Bobby. Really paying attention to those small things like relative humidity and temperature will keep you on the right track.
Yes.
You know what, Joe, I'm having some trouble seeing the questions as they come in. Can you still see them?
Yeah, I can.
I can go. I could give you a couple questions that I normally get.
I've got
Joe
Bob.
can read them off to you too. He can still see them. I can't see them now.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me just read these last 3 or 4, then Bob, you can take over. What is the most important specification feature in making a laminate floor water resistant?
In this case, in our case, it is the locking system. It is the angle tap locking system that creates the pretension and makes the seam so tight that it becomes impenetrable by liquid.
Okay. Can you glue the seams of a laminate and make it the same water resistant as, well, as a water resistant? I think what they're asking is, can you glue the seams of a standard laminate and make it as water resistant as something that was meant to be water resistant?
Yeah, this is also a great question and an interesting one, because we've had a lot of people want to put our products in kitchens and bathrooms, and that are not, that don't have this new water resistant technology. And the answer is absolutely you can. You can install a laminate floor in a bathroom or a kitchen as long as you seal the edges. And in general, we recommend that you use a silicone-based adhesive. And a great example is Click Seal from a company by the name of Tight Bond. They make actually a laminate sealer that is silicone based that you can put around the perimeter of the floors as the planks as you're putting them together, and this will create the same impervious surface. So you can use nearly any laminate floor that we produce as long as you do that. The other thing I would encourage is if you do put it in a bathroom or a kitchen or somewhere susceptible to spills, that you do seal the perimeter of the room like you would do if you were putting ceramic tile down or anything else. Just seal that perimeter of the room so that the water or the liquid doesn't get behind the baseboards or down into the subfloor.
Well, actually, I have a question. I'll just interject because you just reminded me of it. When water-resistant laminates first came out, one of the big deals that was a hassle for most retailers that we were listening to was that, most all of them required that perimeter sealant around the entire installation. I may have missed it. Does Kindle require that perimeter seal?
We do not require that perimeter seal in rooms that are not typically susceptible to spills and to moisture getting on the floor. So as an example, in a bathroom, yes, we require it. In a kitchen, yes, we require it. In a bedroom, a den, a living room, no, we do not require it.
Okay. And I can guess who's asking this question, but are laminates okay with heavy rolling loads?
Yes, most important when you're rolling, moving heavy objects over the floor is the evenness of the subfloor that's underneath the floor. So there is no issue with heavy rolling objects over laminate at all. In fact, it's probably the most dimensionally stable product, other than than something thicker, like a 3/4 inch hardwood or something like that. But our dent resistant, impact resistant, scratch resistance, the performance attributes of laminate probably make it the best product to have the least problems if you're rolling heavy objects over it.
And I'm guessing, knowing the person who asked, I'm guessing they were asking because of cracked tongues and grooves with things like wheelchairs or stuff
Sure.
like that.
Only where you have an uneven subfloor and you have deflection in the floor would you have an issue like that, but you'd have that issue with any flooring that you put down. So
Okay.
most important is the evenness of the subfloor.
And the last one that was written in is laminate better than, I'm assuming vinyl in direct sunlight like a sunroom.
Yes, absolutely. Laminate is definitely better. It does not have the shrink and swell issues that vinyl has in direct sunlight.
Okay. All right. Well, that was the last of the written in questions. So if you had something new to add as far as a question.
Me?
Yeah. You said there was like 3 or 4 different things that you're often asked.
Yes, some of those were, but I think most importantly these days has been, you know, how does laminate compare with vinyl? I get that a lot, and I think I covered most of the answers to that question. Um, and the only thing that was ever a question before was the water resistant properties of laminate versus vinyl. And the fact is that today's water resistant laminate checks every single box that a consumer would be looking for in a product. And I think at the bottom of the checklist, when it comes to the value to price relationship, it's a huge check mark over vinyl.
Awesome. Well, Bobby, thank you very much. That was, especially on the economic side, we appreciate all the information. We appreciate the partnership over the last several years, and we appreciate the time. So just a reminder, everybody, this will be posted on our CWF videos channel on YouTube. Should give it about a couple hours before it's posted. So Bobby, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you for the opportunity. Appreciate your business, guys.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you.